Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review YouTube channel, where tonight it is Manchester United versus Newcastle United match preview. I'll bring Rich in a minute. He's waiting backstage. Just a quick message to say thank you to everybody that for the support over the last couple of days. Since my account was hacked on Wednesday, I've had some fantastic messages of support, and it's been absolutely magnificent. So thank you to each and every one of you. At one stage, I never thought I was going to get the channel back, but you know, Google have sorted it very, very quickly for us after I sent all the details yesterday. It's now like Fort Knox trying to log into my YouTube account now, but I'd rather have it that way than anything else. So a big thank you to everybody. The trolls will never win. It's as simple as that. They will never, ever win. So we'll bring Rich in. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening. Happy to be here today. I was going to say as well, so good that you got your channel back quickly, because I can't imagine how stressful that must have been last few days.
Yeah, just a bit. When you spend a long, long time building it up, it's. I mean, you know, people that don't do YouTube, I guess, you know, don't know the work. I mean, we spoke about it on your channel yesterday. You know, talking about the work that goes in behind the scenes when you're doing videos, and then you sort of, you've got to prepare those videos, you've got to edit them, you've got to process them, and then you do live streams on top of that. It does take a lot of hard work, and I did think at one stage that whoever did this was going to win, but they haven't. So that's the main thing. I'll go through a couple of comments first of all. We got Ben. Does anyone know when the testimonial date is for the Gallagher pigeon? Have you heard about the Gallagher pigeon, Rich?
No, I was going to say I've watched your channel recently, because obviously with us playing you and you coming on my channel as well, I thought I'd find out what's the stories. A lot of it's been, say, quite negative towards your owner, manager, etc. I haven't heard this specific story. Yeah,
well, the Gallagher pigeon is basically there was a pigeon died in the stanchions on the roof of the Gallagher 5 years ago, and it was still there at the start of this season, rotting away, which was another sort of stab at Mike Ashley and you know, how he hasn't sort of maintained the ground. So that's what the Gallagher pigeon is basically. So, you know, hopefully that'll be gone by the Leeds game next week. Lisa's great news that you got your channel back. Hope whoever the scumbag was behind the hacking gets what they deserve. So do Ali. Hopefully they'll find out. The so-called experts say Newcastle United aren't a big club. Tomorrow we play our 1000th Premier League game. Only 7 other clubs have reached that landmark. Now, obviously, Manchester United are one of them. Now, we did speak about big clubs last night on your show briefly, Richard. It was just like sort of, you know, talking about the fan base, and the Newcastle United are a big club if we talk about fan base, but they're not when it comes to winning trophies. Now, obviously, Man United are without a doubt a massive club. They've got a massive name across the world. So where do you think, in your own mind, Newcastle come in the scheme of that? Do you think that, you know, if they could win a couple of trophies, they become a big club trophy-wise and things like that?
I would say actually someone on my channel posted quite a good comment saying Newcastle like a sleeping giant, and I was kind of comparing you with Leeds in terms of, like, when Leeds United got relegated, they're too big to be Championship or League One. From my mind, like Newcastle, like I said, 1,000 Premier League games, only 7 other teams. I think recently not so good, but the 90s, what a fantastic team from sort of mid-90s on to 2000s. So historically, a really good team. Disappointing recently, but certainly I think fan base wise, you've probably got one of the best ground capacities, and it's always full. It's a, I'd say, fanatical fan base. I mean that as a compliment in terms of, like, you know, the city is obsessed with football. People I know that have been to Newcastle on match day say it's absolutely buzzing. So I think fan base wise, if you could get a decent owner, you got the fans there. I mean, I've met a lot of Newcastle fans that I've known that aren't from Newcastle. You have fans across the UK more so than other clubs. So I think it's a lot of potential. Just need to hopefully get that takeover.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. There's a question here for you, actually, Rich. With Fred and McTominay unlikely to be available tomorrow, would you start Donny van de Beek against Newcastle? Now, I know you asked me last night what my opinion was on Van de Beek.
I'm not making the decision. I think it's what people want to see. They want to see Van de Beek get games, because I don't want to be too negative about some of our players, but I think with McTominay not available, but also that's not really his strength, playing We want someone more defensive-minded. Fred, for me, it's like you said yesterday. It's the passing isn't good enough, decision-making not good enough, and overall, it's a weak link in our team. And I'd like to see Van der Beek play, but he's got to play really well. If he gets his chances, he's got to take them, just because the fans want to see it, but he's got to perform if he gets a chance. And hopefully, otherwise, as Matic as well would probably be a shout.
Yeah. And also, do you think CR7 will start tomorrow, or do you think he'll come off the bench during the match? I haven't seen all his press conference, so I'm not sure what he said this morning.
I think it's quite vague.
Yeah.
Vague.
I mean, he's not going to give anything away, is he? Really?
No, I think he'd start. I'd be surprised if he's not start. I know Varane and Sancho, but this is not a normal player, is it? This is Ronaldo. The fans want to see him start. I think he's going to start. That would be my guess. If he doesn't start, then, but who knows? Like I said, it's difficult to try and second guess Solskjaer. My gut feeling is he'd start. And that's what I think fans.
I mean, I think the majority of Man United fans will be going to the game tomorrow, desperate for him to start, won't they? I mean, it's a fanfare. I mean, you know, the build up has been to the extreme. I think, you know, on Sky Sports and things like that. It's like, you know, it's been unbelievable. I mean, you know, Ronaldo coming back. I mean, he is going to be a threat without a doubt. I mean, you know, not just tomorrow, but he's going to cause a lot of teams problems in the Premier League. But it's going to be interesting to see Newcastle's lineup to go against Manchester United's, to see if, you know, if Ole does go out and put a very attacking side out. So is it possible that he will put an attacking side out tomorrow rather than play a couple of defensive midfielders? Can you see him going a bit more?
I'd like to say that he'll definitely go attacking, but we've seen it in the past where it edges on conservatism. I think against Newcastle, no disrespect to Newcastle, I think he has to go attacking. I think he has to start and try and do what Manchester United fans are kind of expecting. Like say 5-6 years ago, we'd go attacking from the start, try and score a couple of early goals early on. We haven't done that recently. I think last season I'm kind of writing off with the no fans. It was not a normal atmosphere, but I think with the fans, there's pressure to attack, isn't there? At United, there's pressure to start on the front foot, and I think, like I said, everyone's buzzing. I think the international break came at a bad time, but it has basically meant that there's just a massive build-up now. It feels like a 2-week build-up to this one match because we stopped playing football. Well, we'll stop playing Premier League football.
I think the international break is a pain in the backside, to be honest. I can't stand it.
It's too.
It is. 3 games into the season, and you know you've got an international break. I mean, I don't remember these when I was a kid. You know, it was like, you know, if England were playing, they'd play midweek, but there'd be no disruption to the league fixtures. You know,
it seems like suddenly
they just got on with it. Yeah.
And then players get injured or they come back, so and you have little preparation time, and then that's annoying.
It's bizarre. Ben says, thoughts on Steve Bruce's comments today. I wanted to try and bring in a couple of players to add to the squad, and it wasn't possible. End of. What can I do about it? Well, Steve, you could just say, right, I'm no yes man. I'm walking, and resign. You know, do the decent thing. That would be nice if you would have actually thought of that. But you're not going to do that simply because, you know, you're on a golden handshake, and there's no chance of you actually doing that. You know, you've said you've been banging on the door. But, you know, a manager with any conscience would say, right, I'm not getting the support, I'm leaving. But you know, Steve Bruce, that this is your last job. Nobody else is going to take you on at your age, and the fact that you're a dinosaur manager. So you're not going to walk. We all know he's not going to walk anyway. Kendo says, evening, folks. Are you expecting us to look more destroyed than a Bly Butcher's beef flap? Oh, my God. Yes, we are. We're going to get absolutely nailed. Evening, Paul. Evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Good evening, Paul. Evening, all. Which Newcastle player in contention to play tomorrow do you see as the player who offers the most threat? I mean, we spoke about this yesterday.
Maximum is probably the obvious one. If he was playing, but I think he's not available, Wilson would have been like the obvious threat. Yeah, I think that it's bad, isn't it? You took that it's even a debate because, you know, historically Newcastle should have a lot more threat. I think that you joked about Joe Linton. I think it's for 8 goals in 80 games or something like that. It's just not good enough, really.
well, he's. I think, like I said yesterday, De Gea's going to be having a picnic basket, really, just drinking wine and eating cheese or whatever it is he does.
Well, that's the dream from us, but
yeah.
you never know.
I mean, I know you said yesterday that you were a bit worried, because of, Man United with Sheffield United last season thought the same. It was going to be a walk in the park for Manchester United, and then obviously Sheffield United turned you over at Old Trafford. But I think what makes the difference this season, like you've just mentioned, is the crowd are there this time. The crowd would not have put up with that last season, getting beat off Sheffield United at home. There would have been uproar during that match. And I think the fact that you now have a crowd in the stadium, you've also got CR7, returning. You've got Varane and Sancho, some very, very good buys during the transfer window. It's a very, very different Manchester United this season, I think. I know, you haven't really hit the heights in the opening few games. Obviously, you hammered Leeds, which I guess you were very happy about. But then Southampton and Wolves have been a bit of a difficult time for you. But it's probably the right time for you guys to play Newcastle United tomorrow.
Yes, it is a good time. And like I said, you were talking about Newcastle's transfer window. That's kind of the sort of transfer windows we've been seeing recently with Manchester United. But this one feels different. CR7, I think before we signed him, people were thinking he might go to Man City. I think that was for about a day. Then we got Ronaldo. Obviously, Varane, I think, he's the best signing, I think, in terms of he's at his peak now. And that could be the difference over the season. I think some of the sloppy goals we give away, I think Varane's going to stabilise the defence. So I think when we were talking about it yesterday, I think he maybe nullifies some of the threat from teams where we maybe only give away a couple of chances sometimes, but then we struggle to break down a team, and that can be the frustration. But I think with Varane, maybe from the onset, we can be solid, more difficult for teams to score against us, because that's the main thing. I think against Wolves, we played poor, and we were very lucky to win that one. Like I said, against Southampton, again, we played poor. But these teams like Sancho, he hasn't really been integrated in the team. It's a bit early for him. But yeah, over the course of the season, these players are going to have a massive impact on our squad. And yeah, if we play bad and win, at least we got that win. And now against Newcastle, I think the fans are really expecting us to actually play some attacking football.
Well, I mean, that's what Newcastle United don't defend well against is teams that really attack us. And it's already been proved this season, especially West Ham, the opening game of the season, second half, West Ham attacked us from the off and obviously scored the 4 goals and absolutely demolished us. Tomorrow's going to be very difficult without Wilson for Newcastle United. Steve Bruce in his press conference today, which I'll go into a few quotes that he's actually said in his press conference, which will probably anger most of the Newcastle United fans that are watching tonight. So the first one was on Manchester United themselves. Steve Bruce said it's always going to be tough, and the added spice of Ronaldo coming back will add to that. The one thing we're going to have to do is enjoy the challenge and relish the opportunity to see if we can spoil the party. Steve Bruce, in his press conferences, Rich, always sort of bigs up the opposition and says things like, we will try and spoil the party and things like that. He doesn't really sound like a confident manager with just one quote there.
Yeah, so you can understand it maybe for a game like going to Old Trafford against Manchester United, but week in, week out, I think, like I said, the capitulation against West Ham early on in the season. I mean, West Ham are a decent team, but they should be doing better. And recently, early days this season, Manchester United tend to get, we've been called kind of second half United a bit recently, so we do tend to get stronger during games. So I think if Newcastle, like we have seen recently, that Manchester United last season, the games have been tight early on, but if we get a lead, I think it's going to be difficult for Newcastle to get much from the game. That said, though, we just need to get that first goal. And sometimes, like I said, you seem to obviously be not too confident that you can hold United out, which is good from Manchester United perspective. But obviously, we still got to score. I
mean, Newcastle. I mean, so many times in the past, and even this season, really, we've started. Apart from maybe Southampton, we've started games looking decent and organised, and then after 10, 15 minutes, it goes to pot. But I genuinely believe tomorrow, if Manchester United score within the first 10 minutes, we could be looking at a very, very high score. I know Newcastle tend to sort of go to Old Trafford and have good starts, where they take the lead. They've done it in the last few seasons. I think a couple of times they've done it, and Manchester United have come back. But I generally think with the lack of enterprise that we have up front, it's going to be very difficult to get round United tomorrow, especially with Varane, who will probably make Harry Maguire look like a world-class defender again. You've got Luke Shaw, who's in the form of his life at the minute, and Wan-Bissaka, who for me has started the season very well. I wasn't really sure about him, but the couple of games that I've watched at Manchester United this season, he's looked all right, Rich.
Yeah, I would say actually, when you look at the back four, it almost picks itself now this season. Yeah, and you pretty much, we were talking about it yesterday, those four names automatically, you can't see anybody displacing them at the moment. And I thought actually, because Wan-Bissaka does get criticised for maybe positional and sometimes as attacking play, but okay, it's early in the season, but I think against Wolves, obviously that saving, that goal line clearance, but the fact that he anticipated that sort of thing happening, and with Varane being a lot more mobile than someone like Lindelof, you can see that he's not having to be dragged into positions he doesn't want to be in because he's not having to cover for somebody. So having that world-class defender next to him is really going to improve him. And I think, like I said, I can see Manchester United in the past giving away a chance or two. I can't see Newcastle having enough chances to get, like you said, to maybe get a goal, but I can't see them having enough chances to be scoring more than like one goal. So
well, I'll truly be amazed if we score tomorrow. I really will be amazed because we've looked so lightweight up front, and especially with Callum Wilson missing. I mean, when we missed him last season, we just couldn't score goals. Yes, Joe Willock came in and sort of gave us a real boost at the end of last season to finish where we did. But I think this year, Joe Willock's come in on a permanent deal, and he hasn't had a pre-season. He's not really up to speed yet, and too much has been put on his shoulders already by certain parts of the Newcastle fan base, I think, expecting him just to be sort of the messiah. I think we're very weak in midfield, especially tomorrow if we're without Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby. We're looking at the likes of Longstaff and Hendrick going against, Pogba, McTominay, Fernandes, or whoever it may be. It just seems like a complete overrun in midfield already for Newcastle to deal with.
Yeah, I think on paper, when you look at it, it just doesn't seem competitive, does it? Because I think Pogba's he divides opinion, but there's no doubt that he's top quality, and there's no doubt that he's an exceptional player. And I think having Sancho arrive and Ronaldo arrive, there's going to be competition for places, because obviously there's Cavani as well, that was maybe an automatic starter last season. You obviously got Greenwood is in tremendous form, a goal a game in the league, and Anthony Martial hasn't really done anything for quite a while, but obviously on his day he's very good. So there's going to be a lot of competition for.
Yeah. Do you think the signing of Varane is more important than the one of Ronaldo?
I think it is overall. I think Ronaldo basically gives you, for us this season, it makes us a competitor, definitely, in terms of like challenging for trophies, because everywhere Ronaldo goes, he's going to score a lot of goals. That's almost a guarantee. There's going to be a threat in every single game. And also it's more depth, because if Cavani, he wasn't able to play every single game last season, and when he's not playing, you think, okay, Greenwood can do the job sometimes, but he is quite young. And if you've got Ronaldo in there, suddenly you've got an elite centre forward that's going to be a continual goal threat. When we saw in the Euros, he has a quiet game, gets 2 goals. And that's just the sort of thing that you can't really. He can play average, but if we create chances, which we should do with the players we've got, then Ronaldo doesn't miss too many, and I think that could be key of the season. But for Varane, I think we were so reliant on Maguire, like we were saying about Maguire. Hopefully, he's going to look world class. He played something like 70 consecutive games in the league, and then he got injured because he just didn't have any sort of break. But you got Varane now. Lindelof, how will he do next to Varane might be something fans want to see, because obviously Maguire needs games off now and again. But
at least he's got that option now, hasn't he, to sort of change it about a little bit.
Yeah, because like you were saying that you get frustrated by seeing a back five all the time, and there's certain things Manchester United fans get frustrated. The big frustration is Lindelof and Maguire, because you're putting two players next to each other that are slow, and so when they're out of position, there's so much space, and then Wan-Bissaka has to try and cover it, and it looks a complete mess. With Varane, looks like he's just, I know he's so relaxed. He's just strolling around, and everything looks calm. It's early days, but everything looks calm when Varane's got the ball. So
yeah. Well, I guess time will tell on Varane, but I'm expecting him to be quite a dominant figure tomorrow, or maybe, well, not dominant, just a stroll in the park, really. I mean, there is no confidence amongst us Newcastle fan base at all at the minute. Another quote from Steve Bruce today on Carl Darlow. He's trained the last 10 days and there's been a big improvement from him, which we're all delighted about. He's put himself in contention, but we'll make that decision in the next 24 hours. We're pleased he's back training and looks a bit more like himself. Now, you know, Newcastle have named 4 goalkeepers in their 25-man squad. I don't think he had any choice, to be honest, because the players that we've let go, we haven't replaced. Therefore, the squad is extremely depleted, and he's had to name the 4 goalkeepers. Carl Darlow will be back shortly. Dubravka probably not. We're looking at probably end of November, December now for Dubravka. So, you know, whether we see Darlow coming straight back into the side in front of Woodman, I'm not so sure. On Ryan Fraser, Ryan won't make it for the weekend. He twisted his ankle, but it doesn't look as bad as the pictures of him on crutches would suggest. It's only precautionary. So, decent news about Ryan Fraser. Miguel Almiron, it's a difficult one for the players because the ultimate is to play for your country. They've been drawn into a difficult situation. However, a bit of common sense has prevailed and he's available for selection, so we're extremely pleased. Now, Miggy Almiron has been a player that I've criticised a lot, probably last season and this season. You know, but many people have come back at me and say, well, he's been played out of position. For me, he looks lost in the Premier League. He's a diminutive figure. He's not, I don't think he's built the right way for the Premier League, and he struggles a lot. I don't know what you've seen of Miggy Almiron, Rich, you know, from an outsider's point of view. But again, his figures aren't great. You know, goals and assist-wise is very, very poor.
Yeah, because I was looking at Newcastle last season when we did a preview, and I think statistically, obviously, I don't watch many games, but so reliant on Wilson in terms of like he was your leading goal scorer and leading assists. You need some of the other players just to contribute more, and I think that's. Like I said, do you think the transfer window this season? Do you think Newcastle are weaker than last season? Like, how does it compare, squad-wise?
Well, I mean, if you look at the squad, it's probably more depleted than it was at the end of last season, given that we've let the likes of Matty Longstaff, etc., go out on loan. We've let Andy Carroll's gone. A couple of midfielders have gone. Mutu's gone as well. So, you know, we've let players go, but we haven't brought anybody in. And that's what I was meaning about the squad being so depleted.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous, isn't it? Because a lot of teams are, pretty much continually improving. I think the top 4 have all strengthened. You see, Aston Villa got a lot of money from Grealish. They invested it wisely. Mm-hmm. They should be better. I mean, even teams that maybe wouldn't normally be doing well, at Brighton started quite well. So maybe Southampton are one that didn't have a good window, a few players left. But yeah, I think with Newcastle, you kind of don't want to put yourself in a position where you are vulnerable to sort of being near the bottom, because if your owner wants to sell the club, you just can't be getting close to. I wouldn't think that Newcastle will be a relegation candidate, but you don't want to put yourself in a position where another poor window and you do end up kind of dropping down a bit, because it's.
Well, the thing is, we could be lost by Christmas. You know, I mean, obviously, the media up here keeps on putting things like, you know, Newcastle will be linked with certain players in January. We were linked with players all through the summer in the media as well, which never materialised. And you know, they're doing it already, saying, "Oh, we're watching this guy or watching that guy," and you know, there's no.
Yeah, there's no isn't it?
It's awful, because you know, you're thinking, right, when the transfer window comes, where are we going to strengthen? And we never do. And the thing is, it's getting to the point now where, you know, we said we needed somebody to step in for Callum Wilson because he's injury prone, and you know, lo and behold, he was actually. We find out today that he was actually carrying a knock before the deadline day, and he played against Southampton with this injury, and which obviously he couldn't play the full game, and it's made him worse. And you know, that's what we criticised Bruce for a lot last season. playing players too soon when they were injured or carrying knocks, because he hasn't got the ability or the strength to say no to these players. The players will come down and say, yes, I'm fit, don't worry, Gaffer, when really they're not. And he doesn't have the authority to tell them no.
Maybe it's like not viable options either, is there? There's not a like Rashford's had an operation on his shoulder at the start of this season. He should have had that last season because he's been carrying that injury for a long time. I don't know why he bothered going to the Euros. He played hardly any minutes at all. He should have had the operation then. That would have given him.
I don't think Rashford's looked right for a long time.
I think first half of the season last season, he was quite good towards the start, like the 4 goals against Leipzig, and he was playing well. But halfway through, you can see performances dropping off, and you think, well, it's getting worse, and it's not good for him, the team, and it's just like I said. Obviously, Newcastle's issues are more severe because your squad's getting weaker, and but I understand 100% what you're saying. Like a couple of years ago, Manchester United, because of the name of the club, get linked to everybody, any agent that wants their player to get a better, an improved contract at Barcelona, Real Madrid, they'd get. That's why I didn't think we'd get Varane. I thought it was just he wanted a better contract at Real Madrid, but
everybody thought that. I mean, I watched the United Stand as well as your channel. I mean, I tune in a lot to your channel because I keep commenting on how bad we are. But when I watched Mark Goldbridge as well, when over the summer he was convinced that this Varane thing was a bit of a pie in the sky in order for Varane to get a new deal at Real Madrid, which didn't happen.
It's happened before, isn't it, with other players? But then I heard that he turned down the armband at Madrid and then turned down a contract. So ultimately, Real Madrid then had to just cash in. But basically, it was the player's decision, which is 100% what you want as a fan. You want a player that does actually want to come. But surprising. But
that's Man United's benefit at the end of the day, isn't it? There's a question here from Geordie saying, "What's the latest about Jadon Sancho? Is the lad fit enough to play against Newcastle?"
So he got a knock, didn't he? Got on international duty, which is the most frustrating thing, like you said. But I thought it was like a minor knock, and he could play some part, but obviously I don't know 100%. I know he missed the matches, but I didn't think that it was too serious. I think it was just he'd missed a few games. Yeah, but I think if he's not 100%, then he's been starting as a sub, and I don't think we'd bother risking him if that is the case.
I think he'd be on the bench, Sancho. If he's missed the England game, I think he'd be on the bench and come on as kind of an impact sub, which he's done a couple of times this season. But I think for Sancho, I think he just needs to run in the Man United first team and get up to speed with the Premier League. I mean, I saw him quite a bit for Dortmund because I watch a lot of the Bundesliga, and he was just incredible for Dortmund. Last season, him and Bellingham, 2 English players, absolutely probably the best 2 players for Dortmund, and they've got the likes of Royce there and everything like that. But those 2 were fantastic, which I don't understand how Bellingham's not getting in the England team. Or he's,
I don't understand how he managed to end up in Bundesliga and people didn't snap him up because he was a top quality player. And like I said, it's if he wasn't getting games in this country and you go to Bundesliga, it is like it is a good league for someone like Sancho, lots of attacking football. I think it's going to be one of these things where it'll take a little bit of time just to adapt to a different league, but he'll be absolutely fine. And I think the thing with social media and Twitter and any sort of thing is they're desperate for a story. So if Sancho comes on, doesn't play great, but what do you expect? He's like he's coming on as a sub, playing like half a game, or playing when early in the season, not playing amazing. It's irrelevant. I think he'll be absolutely fine.
He's got to get up to speed, hasn't he? I mean, that's the main thing. Dave says, "Hi, Paul and everyone. So pleased you got this sorted out. Thanks, mate." Hi, Tony. I wish Joe Linton was at Leicester. He's better than Perez and can offer us more. Oh, God. Well, you can take him for nothing, to be honest. Tsunami says, "Forgot to tell Paul I bought a ticket for the game and they sent it to the wrong address. I'm done. Went to the box office today, got my money back, and I'm done till Ashley is gone. We are rotten away." Well, that's awful news, to be honest. I'd swap Steve Bruce for Brendan Rodgers in a bloody second. But again,
let you though.
No, the likes of Brendan Rodgers, the thought of for Brendan, I mean, working under, the size of Newcastle would be appealing to a manager if there was a project there to have a bit of ambition.
Project for Rodgers? I mean, he's got a great deal where he is. He's got a fantastically run club.
Yeah. I mean, Newcastle United for a manager, hypothetically, if a takeover was to happen and we got a new manager in, what a job that is for a new manager under brand new ownership to bring Newcastle back from the doldrums and bring them up to a bit of success again and have a bit of ambition. That could be fantastic on a manager's CV. They're talking about like the likes of Frank Lampard. He will want to prove something since he didn't work out at Chelsea. But if Frank Lampard had a bit of success on his CV with Newcastle United, it does people wonders. Danielle says, 18 hours away from getting our asses handed to us big time. Actually dreading the shit tactics, the same shit formation, no ideas. Steve Bruce has no idea and should be nowhere near our club. Monumental bell end. If you see a lot of MBEs on this channel, I'll label Steve. Yeah, that's me basically. I labeled Steve Bruce MBE. So if you see that, that's why. Good evening, Annie. Brendan Rodgers is the third best manager in the league. Hi, Jason. Hi, King of Northumberland. Derek says, Paul, why so late in the evening? Well, Derek, because it's nice to do it after everybody's settled down. They've teas out the way, everybody's just settled now and they're just sitting, relaxing, watching YouTube. I mean, your shows don't go on till late at night, do they? You're normally about 10 o'clock, 10:15, aren't you?
Yeah, mine are usually quite late, but it's just to get children out of the way. It's just a practical thing. But no, I sometimes do them a bit earlier on the weekend, depending on what's going on. But yeah, some of the people writing comments, thanks for tuning in last night. I recognise some of the names and appreciate you checking out the channel. It's always good to get. That's why I quite like doing these different things where you get the views of other opposition fans. I say, where do Newcastle fans, like people watching tonight, where do you actually think you're going to finish this season?
Well, if I know my subscribers pretty well, they're not very confident, Rich. And
I was getting that view. I was getting that impression, but
yeah, we're not confident at all. I mean, I did a Premier League prediction show with I did the Four Horsemen on a Monday, so I did predictions with them guys, and a couple of them had us to finish 15th, 14th, and I've got us to get relegated. But at the minute, me and Peter actually, just think Peter's here. Great preview last night as well. Them trolls can fuck right off. Monumental bell ends. Is there any point in watching the game, says Steve? Well, simply because, obviously I do my videos on the game. I keep a very close eye on everything Newcastle United, obviously. So, yes, I have to watch the game and suffer through it. But it's people's opinions if they want or not.
No, the thing is, I suppose, if it does end up as bad as some Newcastle fans are predicting, at least maybe it does put some pressure. You eventually want to force Ashley's hand, don't you, to get rid of Bruce? Do you think a different manager does a lot better with Newcastle, or do you think, given the way Ashley's running the club, it's going to be difficult? Because I think the thing is, actually, we saw recently when Tottenham were trying to get a new manager, how many managers they had to go through to try and sell their project to. And I think and they got a lot more attractive. I
think everybody knows what Daniel Levy's like, though. I think
exactly
that's where our problem's going to come. A new manager with Ashley is going to be a big problem. I think, the only managers that we could probably look at under Ashley would be the likes of Eddie Howe or Chris Wilder, those type of names. I mean, we keep getting thrown back to Sam Allardyce and Tony Pulis, and
you kind of want to move on away from that, don't you?
Oh God, yeah, a million miles away. Paul, when are you going to do another fantasy video? Well, obviously I couldn't do it last night because I didn't have the channel. Thursday night next week will be a problem because we play Leeds on the Friday, so I'll probably be previewing the Leeds game on the Thursday. I'll see if I can fit it in sometime next week, Taylor, but if not, it'll definitely be back the week after. But don't stop doing your teams because you don't want to sort of look like me and be near the bottom of the league. That's a certainty. Annie says Bristol City are a big club. In your dreams, pal. Steve says we are far from a big club. Yeah, I'm talking about trophies here. We're not. It'll be Matic says.
Actually, in terms of like Newcastle getting back to where a lot of people think they should be, do you see it a bit like Leeds, where Leeds obviously they've got a project now where it looks quite good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Got...
Well, there's a few Leeds fans subscribe to this channel, and we kind of know the pain that they've been through. 16 years outside of the top flight, and various owners and various calamities with money and things like that. And I think the same thing could happen to us. That's been a sort of worry for a lot of Newcastle United fans for quite a while, that if we go down, we won't come back for quite a while because the structure isn't there anymore. When we went down last time, Rafa decided to stay. A lot of the players stayed, and we were able to, get a decent championship team. But since we've come up, we've been stuck with that championship team, plus a couple of more additions here and there who haven't done the job. If you're talking about Joe Linton, Miggy Almiron, those players that have came in, they haven't stepped up to it, and that's been the problem, that we still have the majority of the squad is championship.
Because the top few teams in the championship, like we've seen with Brentford this year, there's not a lot of difference between maybe the bottom 5 Premier League, top sort of 5 or 6 of the championship, and that can be difficult. But I'm just thinking, when Leeds got relegated, obviously they had some issues as well, but you don't expect them to be down that long, and maybe it's like Sheffield Wednesday as well, just not come back up. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't go quite that far, and that.
It's a massive worry for us. Tony says, if we aren't a big club because of lack of winning things, how the hell are Spurs? Again, for me, Spurs are just a big club because of the size of the fan base. Trophy-wise, I mean, yes, they've won a few things in recent years that we haven't. They've made a Champions League final, etc. So, they are a big side when it comes to fan base. Of course, we are a big club. We've won more than Leeds. Yeah, well, that's a good point. A big club that fight relegation every week. They aren't, but the national press are obsessed with the Big Six. It's cringeworthy. Do you ever think that as a Man United fan, Richard? Just like, when you see how much press and things like that, the likes of Sky Sports. I mean, look at the way they went on about Ronaldo. And you're kind of thinking, Jesus, there's other clubs in the world. Do you ever think, like, go and report on somebody else? You know what I mean?
For a United fan, there's almost like there's just too much clickbait stories that aren't stories, that get made up, that you just ignore because they're just ridiculous, about players being linked all the time. But like I said, Grealish got sold for 100 million, and no one's talking about it. No one's mentioning it. It's just not. It's been
swept under the carpet, hasn't it?
It's just ridiculous. And I know, and he's gone to Manchester City, but Manchester City have been incredibly successful, and they're not talked about, which is really strange.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, Steve there says he's mentioned Arsenal in the big clubs. I'm not sure how their fans feel about them being a big club. Historically. Yeah, historically, yeah. I've seen that one. Callum Wilson won't make the weekend, unfortunately, with his thigh injury. We're not going to put a timescale on it. It's really frustrating for Callum and for us. We've just got to give it as long as it needs. Now, from any club's manager talking like that, they're not putting a timestamp on the injury because it's looking like a long-term one again.
That sounds like it's bad, though, doesn't it? That sounds worrying. So how long was he out for last season? Because I remember Newcastle went through quite a bad run with him missing.
Yeah, he was out. He was out a couple of times, which is why we were crying out for somebody to come in just to be available for if and when Callum Wilson gets injured. And so lo and behold, as soon as the deadline day ends, Callum Wilson's injured. It's just, you couldn't write the script. All the Newcastle fans were saying it. I mean, he missed so much of last season. We know how good he is. We know he's deadly in the box and things like that, and he's a brilliant striker. But when you haven't got anybody to step in for him when he's missing, it's a massive, massive problem. Steve Bruce admitted that he tried to sign loan players on transfer deadline day, but the club wouldn't sanction them as they couldn't offload players. I thought a couple of loans could improve us, but it wasn't possible. We were unable to make room. I was hoping we could trade a couple. So obviously he's talking about maybe swap deals and things like that. The club statement has made the stance of the club pretty obvious, so I've had to accept it and move on. I'm frustrated. It is what it is. I mean, if you feel like you're not getting the support from your bosses, you wouldn't want to be in that job, surely.
No, it's bad, isn't it? And should it have to come down to the last day of like the transfer? I mean, there's so much. I think Manchester United fans get frustrated as well. You've got so much time to get the business done. Like you say, two clubs that do it very well: Leicester City, they get their transfers done early. Chelsea, incredibly efficient, just get the transfers. They did 7 transfers came in start of last season, and we got linked to Sancho last season, like you said about the media. Every single day it was about Sancho, and then we didn't sign him until this season, and it's just like a joke. And then I think Cavani was actually a transfer deadline day signing, which was a bit of a punt, which worked out really well, but it wasn't really a strategic window. It was just we got fortunate that one worked out. But Newcastle are better than that. Surely you need to be getting this. At least we made the comment with Manchester United fans: if your owner's not good enough to do the job themselves, at least hire somebody that can do it, because Mike Ashley's not going to be making more profit from Newcastle if you're languishing at the bottom.
Well, he's got Lee Charnley there, but Lee Charnley's not doing anything either. He's as much use as a chocolate fire guard. He's terrible. Danielle says, we are a big club. Ashley is ripping the heart out of it. He's neglected the stadium, divided the fans, and made us the biggest joke in the league. The man is a disgrace. Magical Marwan says, Paul, what are the chances of Newcastle doing a documentary like the Sunderland one behind the scenes? 0. Unless Netflix
was there.
Yeah, unless Mike Ashley gets millions of pounds for it. It'll be terrible watching. It'll be heartbreaking. It would be interesting to see what went on behind the scenes. We've always said all along, what would Steve Bruce, what does he say to these players at half time? Because, normally we come out in the second half looking like a Sunday league team. And it's like the West Ham game. We played really well first half. We went in 2-1 up. And then we come out for the second half, a completely different football team. What was said at the start of the Southampton game for us to play so poorly, which is the worst first half I've seen in many, many years. What is being said, it just, I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I was say, as a Manchester United fan, there's loads of people in the fan base that would say the same thing about Solskjaer in terms of plans. But okay, sometimes he gets it wrong. But I think, do I want Steve Bruce? No way. What I did joke, actually, I did make this joke last season because I thought that Steve Bruce would have been sacked if he had fans in the stadium. I think he would have been sacked last season at one point. And I just joked saying, I don't know where Bruce would go. I don't think he'd get a job, surely.
No.
But I was just saying he could at least maybe try and coach Maguire for like a couple of days, because Steve Bruce was actually quite good at scoring headers, something Maguire struggled to recently. And I think that's about the only thing I can see him doing. Maybe he could make Bruce a bit more clinical.
This is one of the things we spoke about as Newcastle fans. With Steve Bruce was a fantastic defender for Manchester United, all right, and he played a lot under Alex Ferguson. So it's hard to imagine for us Newcastle fans as to why our defence is so poor when he played well and played under Alex Ferguson. I mean, surely he would have taken something from
that would be his
playing for him.
Surely. But I think in terms of coaching, Solskjaer, I'm pretty sure, does not coach defence, midfield, but he does coach finishing. So that was obviously his strength and something that he does well. And okay, so Manchester United have been, apart from a few games, they have been quite decent at scoring goals, and you can't criticise them too much for that. But I think Steve Bruce, that should be his forte, shouldn't it? He should know. When you speak to ex-defenders, I think some of the Arsenal defenders are really good pundits in terms of just knowing the system, that if based on what's happening, every single defender should know what position to be. You should be able to set up to be difficult to score against. If you're not going to be expansive, you should at least be able to defend.
Yeah, so, definitely. Danielle's got a question here for you, Rich. What's it like to support a club with ambition, to not feel the dread of Bruce Ball?
A massive relief, actually, because I was going to say that I don't know if he's watching tonight, but there's a viewer called Ethan that I think is a supporter of your channel, and does quite often pop into my channel and say hello. And we sometimes have this debate with, like say a couple of years ago or last year, Manchester United. We have a stadium that's rusting as well, so we know that our roof leaks. It's not ideal. Our owners are not great. They've signed players in this window, but over 16 years they haven't been great owners. We look at Manchester City owners, we look at actually Leicester owners in terms of what they want to do to bring their club from where it was, and the infrastructure, the training grounds, the facilities, they're building. United aren't doing that. We have got a good team, and historically we financially we do quite well. So obviously they're not investing all the money in the team, but actually speaking to you guys over the last couple of days, I'm just like, oh my God, I think we have got it better than we realised.
Yeah, trust me, your training ground is an absolute palace compared to what we've got. Ours looks like the entrance to a primary school, and like I said, ice baths in wheelie bins and things like that. And a lot of fans laugh when we say it, but it's true. It's actually true. Tony says, when people talk about us having 4 goalkeepers in the senior squad, do we have another senior player to put in? It's a good point. That's why we are down to the bare bones. West Ham can be dark horses this season. Definitely. Paul, would you have taken Zuma at the Toon? Yes, he's far better than what we have there at the minute. Relax, first goal after 2 minutes for Man United. There you go. So it'll be feet up from 2 minutes onwards.
Yeah, if it's like that, it's going to be like the Arsenal-Man City game, isn't it? It'll be done in like 15 minutes. But
God.
If people are thinking like that, and if there is a goal that early, then I worry for Newcastle, and maybe that would be Bruce on his way.
Look, I think in realistic terms, I think if we get absolutely hammered tomorrow, and then destroyed against Leeds, let's face it, Leeds have one way of playing, and that's attack, and Newcastle really don't handle that very well. It proved when Leeds hammered us last season. For me, he's got to go. He's got to, because Mike Ashley cannot take the risk of losing a fortune on this football club, because if we go down to the Championship, we ain't coming straight back up, which means the value of the club will drop dramatically, and he will lose out on an absolute fortune. Now, Mike Ashley is already a billionaire. Does he need the money? Probably not. But he is all about money, which means that's probably a very important thing for him. So money to Mike Ashley is more important than anything in this world. So he will not want to lose the value of the club. So I think he has got to realise, as much as he doesn't want to pay Steve Bruce any compensation, that will probably be so much easier than losing many, many more millions than it would be to pay Steve Bruce off.
Yeah, it might be actually money well spent in the long run. Do you think Steve Bruce puts off some players coming to Newcastle as well? Because without a doubt.
You can see, the thing is, Rich, you can see the frustration on the current group of players we've got. Playing these tactics that we're playing. It's very, very frustrating for the players that are already on our books. You look at the likes of Callum Wilson. He's frustrated because so much of the time he is isolated up front. St. Maximan feels like he's got to come back into the sweeper position to pick the ball up, and feels like he's got to take 7 or 8 players on, rather than just maybe taking a couple on and getting on with the game.
That people like, and there'll be a few teams that won't mind having him in their team. And if it's like the sort of thing that people say, do players want to come and play for Solskjaer? And I think you have to say that, well, they obviously do. If Varane's coming and Ronaldo's coming back, because that is a criticism. And I think it's a bit overly harsh criticism, because I think you can see that even when we start off poorly, we quite often concede a goal, then come back and win. And there is a really good team spirit from that. So I think there is something to be said for, may not be the most tactically amazing manager, but the players are definitely playing for him. And I think if Bruce is losing the squad, and like you said, it's a thinning squad, then it does seem like the writing's on the wall, but when's it going to happen, I think, is the key thing. And sooner rather than later, probably for Newcastle fans. But
God, fingers crossed.
How long's left on his contract, actually?
We don't know. It's a very touchy subject, Steve Bruce's contract. We were led to believe that his contract was ending at the end of this season. However, we've since been told that it's got another 3 years possibly on it. He's on one of these rolling contracts now.
3 years.
We don't actually know. He will not see his contract out, because the club will be turned inside out before, if he stays in the job, and we play this kind of football, because we could literally be looking at doing a Sheffield United this season, struggling to even win a game, and that's no. I'm not exaggerating here. The football that we've seen already has proved that we are going to struggle so much to win football matches. Burnley came up in the Carabao Cup and they didn't play their first team. We obviously made quite a few changes, but we had a strong team. We ended up going out on penalties to that. Pre-season was pretty obvious to me, watching them in pre-season, where our problems lay. The defence was still all over the place. We were very boring to watch against the likes of Rotherham, Doncaster, Burton. We lost to York City, who are in the Conference North. It's just... And we had a very strong team out against York. Wilson, St. Maximin, all those were playing, and we lost 1-0 to York City. Paul says our tactics will be wrong tomorrow. Players will be out of position and no ability to change things. Even if we had everything right and fit, we'd still struggle against Man United. It's a write-off. This is the best Man United team that we've seen since the Fergie days. Thanks, Danielle. Tell all the boys, Dwight Gale will always score goals. Not these days. Championship at best these days for Dwight Gale, I'm afraid. Senshi says, right, too much on counter-attacks. Lone striker running his legs off. I actually believe we will get a goal tomorrow. We won't score it, though. Yeah, a few people said, actually, Harry Maguire might score an own goal tomorrow, Rich.
Like a bit of charity. I don't.
Yeah, that's all we're going to get, to be honest. The statement put a massive amount of pressure on Joe Willock's shoulders, never mind sections of the fan base. Yep. Cheers, Harry. Varane is better signing than Ronaldo without a shadow of a doubt. Lindelof and Jones aren't good enough for Man United. Yeah, I mean, Jones was linked a lot to Newcastle in the summer, Rich. So what are your thoughts on Phil Jones?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? So the problem is he becomes a bit of a joke because he can't play, and it's because of injuries. And I think it's probably Manchester United's fault to keep giving him a new contract when if he's not available to play. I think it's going to be best case scenario is that he moves. I don't know if he'd actually be still a Premier League player. I don't know.
Yeah,
because he hasn't played for about 2 years. I do think actually with Lindelof, he possibly gets a bit overly criticised because Harry Maguire is naturally not a good partner for him because of the speed issue. Because he does actually, he is Sweden captain and he plays well internationally. So
yeah.
But I want to see him actually alongside Varane, just see how that works in some games because it's not as bad as people think. Actually, that's good shot that some of the teams down the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know about Norwich, but I think Brighton have looked good. Brentford as well.
Brentford, Brentford will have that first season syndrome as well,
Yeah,
where every game's a cup final. But they're a good side with a good manager. Norwich, I agree with you, Rich. Norwich look. I don't know whether they've been able to play their first team yet, the first full 11, because of the problems. They did have COVID problems just before the season kicked off. So I'm not sure whether they're actually playing at full strength yet. Brighton have certainly strengthened again. And I like Graham Potter. I like the football he plays. So, wow, we could be in for a... God almighty, we could be in for a tough season.
That's the issue, isn't it? I think Sheffield United is an extreme example. But if you got a few injuries, there's a few teams that... At one point, Southampton were flying last season. A couple of injuries, they dropped right down. So it's tricky.
Thomas, one of my followers there, Rich, says he loves your videos and he wishes he could stay up and watch them. You can always watch them on the reruns, though. Go to his channel and watch the reruns.
So actually, for some of the like I'm doing a podcast tonight where it's just a QA, so it's just quite random. We just talk about anything football related, really. But I'll just try and put chapters in them so people can just watch a bit if they want to. But cheers, Thomas. Thanks for
that. Somebody, Carl, who likes to be a jovial character on my channel. He was on your channel last night. He believes you look a bit like Prince William, Rich. Have you ever had that before?
No, never.
Oh, there you go.
Could be worse.
Hi, Paul. NUFC get nothing at Man United. God help us. We get something from the Leeds game. Yeah. Anyone fancy chipping in for... Sorry?
I think Leeds is a tough one because, like you said, even when we've played them and we've won against them, they don't stop. So Leeds don't stop attacking, even when it's not working. They don't.
The thing is, Leeds United remind me of the Newcastle side in the early 90s, under Keegan, where it was like, you score 4, we'll score 5 kind of football. And I love to watch that. And certainly the Leeds fans that I speak to on a regular basis are very much of the opinion that they'd rather see that kind of football than boring. And I tend to agree with them. Yes, they're going to get... I think Leeds fans accept that they're going to get thumped in some games, the way they play. But in other games, they're going to absolutely dominate and win games. And that's the way Bielsa plays. And he won't play any different because he believes in that way. Just like Steve Bruce, I guess, believes in the 5 at the back, which doesn't work.
It is interesting,
but Bielsa's got... Yeah. Bielsa's got players that can work.
Bielsa does that. What I was interested in actually is that it works really well, Leeds' approach, that they'll win enough games to be comfortably mid-table, and we saw that last season. And then you think, how can they evolve it to maybe not be quite, have a plan B, slightly different ways of playing different games to maybe try and push on to get Europa? I don't know if they could.
Well, I mean, for us, talking about another team like that, thinking, our other team's going to get Europa League and things like that, we kind of look at Leeds United from a Newcastle point of view and say, right, well, yes, we're going to Old Trafford tomorrow. Yes, we're looking at being hammered. But Leeds got hammered on the opening day there. But they've bounced back, and Bielsa wouldn't accept anything else than them bouncing back and playing decent football. But the way they play, they will always score goals against maybe not so much the top 5, top 4, but against the rest of the league, they will score goals. And yes, they will concede them as well. But when they play teams around the bottom half, Leeds United will 9 out of 10 times win those games comfortably because the likes of us and other teams around us don't have what it takes to play against that kind of football.
Yeah, no, they're actually and they're also, because they're on the up, you can see the way they're playing. The players are really engaged, and I think that players want to play for Leeds, don't they? A lot of neutral fans are talking about Leeds United as a team they like watching. Obviously, Manchester United fans are not particularly keen on Leeds, but you've got to say at least they're playing football in a much better way to watch than, say, like Burnley or something, where Burnley will just be quite negative and maybe try and nick a goal, which might be a bit oversimplistic. But yeah, I think, like I said, it's difficult, isn't it? From what you're saying, if you struggle to score goals and you have no confidence in your defence, it's going to be pretty difficult.
Well, listen, I know you've got to shoot off because you've got to stream shortly, haven't you? So give me a prediction for tomorrow from your side.
I'm going to be consistent. I think I said 4-0 last night, which I don't normally make a prediction that bold, but I just, after speaking to you guys for an hour, I was just thinking, if you had Wilson in the team, I think last year we scored 4 goals in one game, 3 goals. I just think, like with Ronaldo, I think everyone's going to raise the game a bit. The crowd's going to be absolutely buzzing. I think if we got an early goal, so in the first 15, 20 minutes, I think 3-0, 4-0. I'm going to say 4-0, be bold.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm certainly not going to laugh at that because that's probably going to happen. But listen, Rich, thanks very much for popping on, mate. I know you got a stream to go to, but thank you very much.
It's been a lot of fun, and cheers everybody that's been putting questions and comments in.
No worries. Take it easy, mate, and obviously good luck tomorrow. You'll not need it, but and good luck the rest of the season, matey. Yeah,
I would say all the best for your team after obviously the weekend, but hopefully Ashley finally does the decent thing and actually moves on, let someone take control that knows what they're doing. Yeah, it's needed. It's very much needed. Right, thanks very much, Rich. Take care, matey. Yeah, cheers. Bye. Thank you. So that was Richard, the Man United fan there. Just, it's very, very good to get obviously a sort of different perspective from the opposition, especially, with Manchester United. We know that they're going to be a very, very, very difficult game tomorrow. We're going to have a very, very tough time from the off for me. I think if Man United get an early goal, we will be in deep crap. Judy says he's a United fan with all the doubts over Ollie. How does it feel to be a massive contender and part of the Big Six? Yeah, I mean, he answered that before, didn't he? It was to be involved in a team that has ambition. You have to say, we don't know what that's like, and we haven't known what it's like for many, many years now. If you think we're beating Man United tomorrow, I'm having what you're having, mate. But I like your spirit. Listen, we ain't winning tomorrow. I think any normal supporter will understand that. Well, since Wilson is injured, we have to rely on Joe Linton and Gale. Certainly worrying times. 5-1 is football style. Steve Bruce talks shite. He does. I mean, look, we've got about 10 minutes left of the show tonight, guys. So if you are enjoying the show, please don't forget to smash those like buttons for me and help me build up this channel. If you're new and you like what you see, lots more content on here, recorded shows, live shows, etc. So please do consider subscribing to the channel. Well on the way to 3,000 now, and obviously looking for
raise that by a hell of a lot over the coming seasons. And if you would like to donate to the channel, if you just hit the super chat button at the bottom of the live comments, that'll take you through that way. If you'd like to donate to the channel, because obviously do this for nothing. It is my full-time job because of the illness, but it's entirely up to you guys, of course. Now, Darren says, only reason Man United fans love Bruce is because of the goal he scored that won Man United their first EPL trophy. Bruce was a shit player. I'm not sure he was a shit player. He wasn't the best. He certainly didn't have any pace either. Let's be frank about that. And I don't think he ever played for England either. So, he wasn't that great, but he was a sturdy player for Man United. I hope Alison Maximan does not get injured. Again, that's the big worry for me. We are in serious trouble if he is injured and Wilson's injured. Swap you Ashley for just one of the Glazers. I don't think I'd want the Glazers. Chip, is the problem with Ashley and Charlie is they know nothing about football and they are running a football club. Yeah. Right, I want to know what this guy's been smoking. Man United 1, Newcastle 2. I would seriously love to know. Ashley gives Penfold a pay rise for what? Exactly. For what? A bloody pay rise. Absolutely crazy. Jonathan says, Paul, you heard that Mike Ashley is going to give tickets to Leeds United fans to sit with the Newcastle fans. Yeah, listen, it doesn't surprise me at all that he's doing that because, look, he wants to fill the ground. And he knows at the minute he's not filling the ground because of the unrest with the fans. And nothing's going to change after tomorrow. We're hearing rumours about him wanting to put Emil Kraft in the back three. Now, can you imagine how Man United players are going to feel when they see if Emil Kraft is on that sheet? Jamal Lascelles will get turned inside out tomorrow. I'm confident of that as well. There's just no confidence. There's no ambition. There's no passion. You listen to Steve Bruce today or you watch Steve Bruce and you think, just shut the fuck up. Please just shut the fuck up. Don't even answer questions. But again and again, these press conferences happen, and the big questions are not asked to Steve Bruce, not in the slightest. Why wasn't he asked about going to Portugal is what I want to know. And is it true that the club didn't actually know that he went to Portugal, or the players didn't know? He fucks off on holiday, and the players that are left there are coming in for training and find out their manager's gone abroad. I mean, fuck's sake, come on. We need more passion with everyone at NUFC. Give Steve Bruce a toy to make him happy and smile. Julie, at the end of the day, though all these scenarios mean nothing until Ashley's gone. Well, exactly. Paul says, don't worry, lads, Boot Wilson's injury will just bring on the other Callum Wilson. I mean, how pathetic was that? Naming 2 Callum Wilsons in the 25-man squad. Absolutely fantastic, Newcastle United. Zigam says, Man United 6, Newcastle 0. I wouldn't be surprised. Not at all. And it's goal from Murphy, assisted by St. Maximan. I'm already hearing the commentator saying that. Well, good luck with that, because I'm not. Paul, name me one player who played under Fergie that has gone on to win a trophy as a manager. I can't think of none. It's a very good point, Darren, actually. It's as if they haven't taken any advice from him, which is completely bizarre. But no, you're right. I can't really think of one. Michael says, let's face facts. Finishing 17th or thereabouts suits Ashley fine. Yeah, but he can't take the chance this season. He just cannot take that chance. It's madness. Keith, our training ground is a disgrace. The thing is, when I talk about the training ground, right, to various fans, and I was on Rich's channel last night, and we explain about the training ground and the facilities, and that it looks like a school from the outside. When you see the gates, and it really does look like a primary school. So you kind of, you look at it and think, well, that can be a Premier League training ground. You look at the likes of Liverpool, Leicester City, and Man City, and Chelsea, and even some of the Championship teams. You look at them, and you think, wow, look at their training facilities, and then you look at ours, and it's a pittance. It's an absolute pittance. It's just awful. Tony says they don't want to play for Solskjaer. They want to play for the Man United brand and mega wages. Maybe so, but that's not going to help us tomorrow, is it? Really, we're going to be hammered. Not trolling YouTube. Link me here. No problem at all. Bruce is on a 23-year contract. I wouldn't be surprised. Just keep it rolling for 23 years and just sink us to the bottom. Just drive the knife into the Newcastle United heart even further. Danielle says, Rich, I hope you win the league this season, not the team owned by a Dubai wealth fund. I'm not bitter, honest. Yeah, you are, Danielle, and you have every right to be bitter because we want to be in exactly that position. I'd rather City win, to be honest. Man United is full of glory seekers. I'd say it was the other way around. Look, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, Tony. And Man City, to be honest, don't have the greatest support. I've always thought that, you go to the Etihad Stadium and it's not the same as other stadiums. There's no atmosphere. Man City fans, go very quiet very quickly. There's a lot of empty seats there when they're winning. Can you imagine if that was us? You couldn't get a seat in St James's Park if that was us. John Sinclair predicted we'll be 3-0 down the first 20 minutes. I think he'd be right, but he certainly won't be far away. 20 years ago, maybe some jumped to Chelsea, then Man City. Yeah, I agree with that. Ryan says Bruce will be happy to go home in Manchester. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people. I was pre-SAF, so I hated the glory hunters that jumped on the bandwagon. Good riddance. Last time I was here and everyone was so negative saying we have to change it all. We went on to beat Leicester City 4-1 away. No one saw that coming. Well, that's very true. No one did see that coming, but hey, we'll try. Now we have trolls on the internet instead. Yeah, that's very true. Bruce will be hands in pockets, pouting and thinking about little laugh he's going to have with Ollie. If he does that, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. Matches tomorrow, right? Yep, 3 o'clock kickoff. Great show. Thank you very much. Geordie Sandcaster, Bruce will be sacked in 4 games if they do not improve. Look, I want him sacked after 2. I want him, if we lose tomorrow, which, let's face it, we're going to. I'll be staggered if we don't. And then we get beat against Leeds United at St James Park next Friday. I don't think Mike Ashley will have a choice. I think he simply has to pull the trigger, and that'll be it. He has to pull the trigger because it's going to be too late. If he leaves it any longer, it's going to be too late. Will Ronnie score on his debut? Well, yeah. My birthday's on the 17th, so can anyone give 3 points, please? It would be nice, wouldn't it, Julie? It would be really nice if we can get that. I'm going to have to run through quite a few comments here. We've had loads coming in. There's over nearly 220 watching tonight, which is absolutely fab, guys. Thank you very much. It's really helped me build the channel, so thank you to everybody who's taken part tonight. It's been fantastic. Let's see where that is. Danielle, thank you very much for the super chat as well. With a comment saying, "Great to see you back." I know, Danielle, you've been a big support to me, sending me the messages on Twitter, etc. Kept me going as well, along with a lot of other people. So thank you very much for that, Danielle. I really appreciate that. Yeah, click the like button. Thank you, guys. Welcome back, Paul. Take care, gang. Thank you. Guys, I'm going to have to end it there tonight. I mean, we've been on nearly an hour and 10 minutes for a preview show, which is mad. I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight. A massive viewing figures, which for me is just incredible. So thank you so much, and it really means a lot to me. This channel for me, as a lot of you know, is full time for me. I do it on my own time. I don't get paid for it. I rely on donations to the channel, etc. And ads on YouTube and things like that. I want to build this channel as much as I can. I've worked very hard in the last year and a half to get it to where it is now. And obviously when that happened during the week, I was absolutely devastated because I thought I'd lost the channel. In all honesty, I thought it had gone. I was devastated, but hats off to Google. They sorted it for me very, very quickly. They are tracing the IP address. So, providing they're not hiding behind a VPN or something like that. Hopefully we'll find out who it was and we'll get them dealt with. But until then, I just have to battle on. I've got lots of security on the channel now, so that will stop them getting into it as easy as they could last time. But you guys have been a massive support. I want to build it as far as I can possibly go with this channel. I know there's other Newcastle channels out there with 10,000, 20,000 subscribers. That's where I want to be. It may be a long shot, but if you haven't got aims and you haven't got drive, then you get nowhere. But the shows are getting more popular on here. My recorded videos are getting fantastic viewing figures as well. So it's all go for me now, especially after this scare this week. It just proves to me what this channel means, what my subscribers mean to me. Because without you guys, I wouldn't I wouldn't be here. So, you know, it's all down to you guys for your incredible help as well. Jules, thank you very much for the super chat as well. I really, really appreciate that. Hats off to you. But like I say, plenty more coming up. I'm on the watch along with John tomorrow, so that should be very interesting. I will be doing a recorded review of the match, which it'll probably see me sitting here screaming at the camera. Monday night, the Four Horsemen are back, and we'll be talking about the Man United game. Tuesday night will be the fan forum again, which is getting massively popular. It's great to have everybody coming on and having the say on the match, either in the live comments or, you know, joining me on the show live. It is fantastic. And then obviously later on in the week, we'll do the preview for the Leeds game. So that's going to be an interesting one as well. So thank you very, very much to everybody. Thank you for the kind messages. It is great to have the channel back, onwards and upwards from here. But in the meantime, guys, try and enjoy the match tomorrow if you are going down to see it, or if you're watching it somewhere, or you're just watching the highlights. But I'll be doing a recorded review of the game tomorrow night, so that should be up around about, well, hopefully around 7:30, 8 o'clock. That should be up and running, or maybe even before then. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy your weekend if you can. Take care. Be strong.